Jayson Tatum goes off again. The Hornets gave the Celtics a bit of a gift, and the way the Celtics carried themselves after this game really makes me think they've got something here. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics, pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. Thank you for making this show part of your daily routine, your first listen every day, Monday through Friday. I really do appreciate you listening and subscribing and watching the show on YouTube. The show's free, available everywhere. It's on YouTube, so you can subscribe and watch the show. I'm John Karalis. I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've written a book called The Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars, and I was one of the media voters for the 75th anniversary team. Today, coming to you after a 115-101 win over the Charlotte Hornets, a game that was not particularly exciting necessarily until the very end, until Jayson Tatum started going crazy. A game that didn't go according to plan, but the Celtics pulled this thing out. They did what they had to do. Jayson Tatum did what he had to do. And the Celtics, at a point there in this third quarter, it looked like, oh boy, here we go. This was like the Indiana game all over again or something. Remember the last podcast where I was like, this has letdown written all over it. And I'm sitting there going like, oh my God, I have to do it. And I told you so podcast. I did not have to do an I told you so podcast because they figured things out. Jayson Tatum is the primary reason why they figured things out. 44 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, a block, just 2 turnovers, 66.7% shooting from the field, from 2 and from 3. Tatum just brilliant. In the fourth quarter, he went completely nuts and went for 16 points. So 16 of his 44 points in the fourth quarter on 6 of 7 shooting, a perfect 4 of 4 from 3. That fourth quarter was basically Tatum saying, you know what? I've had enough. We're getting out of here. We're getting out of here with a win. And we're just going to move on. We're going to move past this game. That's basically where Tatum was in the fourth quarter. He did what he had to do in the first 3 quarters. Obviously, having scored 44, he had plenty in the first 3 quarters. And he was moving the ball. He was doing what he was supposed to do, playing the right way, playing good defense. And, you know, the Celtics, for a while there, I thought, man, they're playing great in some sense. Like they had the first 6 buckets were at the rim. There were 2 alley-oops for Robert Williams. There was an alley-oop to Jayson Tatum. There was another dunk for Jayson Tatum from Robert Williams. There was like they were dunking all over the place. And yet I thought these guys are moving at about 75% speed. These guys aren't moving at full speed. There's a bit of there's another gear here that they can hit, and they didn't, and they weren't hitting until 2/3 of the way into the third quarter. They started to kind of pull away. And it looked for a while there like, oh, this isn't going to go particularly great. But like I said, Tatum, especially in that fourth quarter, said, we're taking this game and we're running with it and hit tough shots. He is an absolute, you know, when Ime Udoka was talking earlier this season about Jayson Tatum's not shooting at his averages and eventually he's going to figure this out and everything's going to even out. And this is what he was talking about. These types of games are what we're talking about that counteract the earlier 1 for 8 Jayson Tatum 3-point games, 2 for 12 Jayson Tatum 3-point games. These types of games where, you know, he shoots 4 of 4 in the third quarter and 6 of 9 overall kind of makes up for that. You know, you take now 8 for 21 You're like, oh, okay, that 2 for 12 and the 6 of 9, 8 for 21. That's okay. That's okay. We'll take that. Everything starts to kind of progress a little closer to the norm. Now, maybe it's a little too late for it to get all the way back to what his norms are overall for the year. But as long as he's doing it now, that's all that matters. And after the game, he talked to Abby Chin and he says, I'm in a lot better zone than I was to start the season, which, yeah, you think. Tatum takes the ball and runs with it in the fourth quarter. But after, I think, some of the really stupidest basketball I've seen from the Charlotte Hornets, who in my initial, I will cop to this, initially when I posted the Boston Sports Journal recap, for some reason I said Charlotte Bobcats. I still have Charlotte Bobcats in my head. How do I still have Bobcats in my head? They haven't been the Bobcats forever. How did I put Bobcats in a headline? But I did. The Celtics beat the Hornets. And maybe because they played the kind of basketball that they played back when they were the Bobcats. End of the third quarter, Celtics are up 4. And it's 16 seconds left. So they're up 4. And James Borrego says to Montrezl Harrell, foul Daniel Tice. You can see Montrezl Harrell looking back towards the bench and then pointing to the ref and being like, hey, look at this. Look at what I'm about to do. So very clearly, intentionally fouling Daniel Tice, who is struggling from the free throw line this season. It's only 5 of 11 coming into this game. So generally speaking, I remember him as the 70-something% free throw shooter that he was in Boston. So I just think of him constantly as like, you're the 70-something% free throw shooter. In that situation, I kind of get what Borrego was thinking. Foul a bad, theoretically bad free throw shooter, have him miss, and we get the ball back, and maybe we cut it to 2 or 1 heading into the fourth quarter. And now, look, fourth quarter, 1-point game. It's basically a tie. Anything can happen here. Maybe we can find some energy. Maybe the Celtics revert back to some, fourth quarter tightness, whatever. I kind of get what he was doing. But Daniel Tice, I don't think that's the guy to foul. So they do it. He hits both free throws. They come down. LaMelo Ball takes a three-pointer, which misses. And in the ensuing pursuit of the loose ball rebound, Kelly Oubre fouls Jayson Tatum. Celtics are in the bonus. So that's 2 free throws. And then Oubre gets a tech. So the Hornets in a 4-point game gift the Celtics 5 free throws. It's a 5-0 run. Tatum hits the tech and the 2 free throws. So 4-point game goes up to 9. And the Celtics come out in the fourth quarter behind a couple of Tatum threes. And I believe Jaylen Brown hits a shot or gets a couple of free throws. A 9-0 run. All of a sudden, a 4-point game with 16 seconds left to go in the third is an 18-point game with 10 minutes to go in the fourth. So in just about less than 2.5 minutes, about 2:20 or so, the Celtics get gifted essentially a 14-0 run. 5 of those points were free. That was a really dumb stretch for the Hornets. That really hurt them because now you come out in that fourth, Tatum hits a couple of shots, and now you're thinking like, oh, great, here we go. From the Charlotte perspective, that has to be demoralizing. And the Celtics turn this into a blowout like in a blink. Then Tatum starts hitting crazy shots. Tatum starts hitting off-balance shots, off-balance threes, step backs, falling out of bounds. Then this thing is over. It's kind of wild to see the Celtics flip a switch. And that's what happened here. They flipped a switch. They came out kind of, like I said, 75%. They kind of coasted. It looked like they can get to the rim at will, which they did. They absolutely, anytime they wanted to, they could get to the rim. There was one play early in the first quarter, maybe. Jaylen Brown was on the left wing drove across the lane, down the right side of the lane, and basically got a layup past everybody. Like, it was almost like set the video game on easy and the defense isn't stopping you. Kind of like attacking the Hornets down the middle, attack the middle of the Hornets is like, everybody knows it. I could grab 4 of you and attack the middle of the Hornets defense, and I think one of us will get a layup. It will help if one of you is Jayson Tatum, but one of us can probably get a layup against that defense. The Celtics kind of coasted. Second quarter was, third quarter was not great at all. Third quarter devolved into some kind of like, it was gross. Like it didn't look great at all. And then they turned it on. Jaylen Brown especially. In fact, let me get into some of the individual performances because Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Derrick White, Al Horford. Al Horford hits a shot in this game that is super, super important, and it's going to fly under the radar. I'm going to do that next. First, let's talk about Athletic Greens, who is joining the show here. And I've started taking Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens is a vitamin supplement, right? You're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, adaptogens. It's all in one scoop of Athletic Greens. I'm a beat writer, okay? I don't get to eat healthy. Honestly, one of my biggest problems during the season is maintaining a healthy diet. It's very difficult. You're always on the go, and there's always like, I got to, slide in here, slide in there, try to get whatever food I can, walking out of the garden late at night. Maybe the pizza place is open. I can grab a slice. It's hard to eat well. So Athletic Greens is giving me a lot of what I need, vitamins that I need, minerals that I need, something that can help my digestion, something that can give me energy, the stuff that my body needs to run. So I am taking Athletic Greens every morning, wake up, pop open that bottle, put a scoop in there, 12 ounces of water. There you go. It's lifestyle friendly. So if you're keto, paleo, vegan, dairy free, gluten free, it contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no chemicals, none of that stuff. This is all natural, good stuff that can fit any lifestyle. Multivitamins that your body can absorb, which is a very important part of this. Absorbing those vitamins is not always what your body is going to do, but the way you're consuming Athletic Greens, you're going to bring it in. And it only costs less than $3 a day. So if you're a coffee drinker like me, hey, maybe the coffee goes away for a little bit and you get your energy from the Athletic Greens. Or you find another way, $3 a day can go away if you really want that coffee. But it's not something that's going to break the bank for you. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews. It's recommended by professional athletes, trusted by leading health experts. So give it a try. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into flu and cold season. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. No need for a million different pills, supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you got to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take ownership of your health and pick the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Today's show also brought to you by BetOnline. College basketball March Madness is here. For all the latest odds, contests, player props, betonline.net is the #1 source for all your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head over to the website today. Use your mobile device to learn about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Please gamble responsibly. And welcome back, and thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Make Locked On Now your second listen. Locked On Now is a great recap of the night in the NBA because you get it from both sides. So you got Charlotte and Boston. You get a couple-minute reaction from me, a couple-minute reaction from the Locked On Hornets, and it's like that with every game. So it's a great recap of the night wherever you get your podcast. Check it out, and you can find it on the Locked On NBA YouTube feed. Let's get into some of these individual performances because they were great. Jayson Tatum, by the way, tied Kevin McHale's record for points in consecutive games with 98. The only reason he didn't get to 100 is because the most effective defense that the Hornets played on him was at the end of the game where they were just doubling him. Like they just said, you're not scoring 50 on us, which maybe you should have started doubling him a lot sooner. And he wouldn't have scored the 44 instead of doubling him at the end. Whatever, that's fine. So Celtics had 30 assists in this game, by the way. They're 9-1 in games with 30 assists. Marcus Smart, great game from Marcus Smart. Amazing, I think, point guard play from him in this game. This was 12 points on 50% shooting, 9 assists, some wild lefty finishes in the lane, which probably should have drawn fouls. Like he probably should have had like 16 points on free throws that he didn't get. But the biggest thing for him, one 3-point shot, one 3-point attempt for Marcus Smart. But I can tell you, if I go back, and I haven't gone back to look through and rewatch the game, rewatch the game yet, but I bet you if I go through, you can pick at least five 3-pointers that he could have taken and maybe might have taken and didn't. Instead, he worked the ball around. 9 assists in this game. In this 4-game winning streak, Marcus Smart is averaging 8.8 assists. So things going very well for Marcus Smart. I thought he did a great job in controlling this game and making sure that the ball movement was there. The best was a Grant Williams only 3-pointer later in the game. That possession, go watch it. If you go to NBA.com and click on the box score, they have, the numbers are in blue. When the numbers are in blue, just click on the numbers. So when you go to Grant Williams' box score and the 1 for 5, just click on that 1 and you'll see the 3-pointer. Such great ball movement. But go back and look at that play again. That was just gorgeous. That type of ball movement with the Celtics, like I said, 30 assists. 8 assists came from Derrick White, who had a great 2-way game. He had 11 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 blocks. And when you look at the blocks, you're like, I don't remember him blocking 3 shots. When a guy is going up for a shot and you slap down, that counts as a blocked shot because he is going up into his shooting motion. And so just because we think of block shots as at the top, you release the ball and Robert Williams comes in and swats it, or Jayson Tatum, like he did, forget, maybe it was on Terry Rozier that he sent into the 5th row. We think of that as block shots. But when a guy starts to bring the ball up and Derrick White slaps down on it and we think, oh, there's a steal, it actually goes into the books as a block shot. So we had 3 block shots in the game there. Derrick White, just a nice overall night. Great defense all night. Couple of charges. He's this Derrick White, this guy right here in this game is the perfect Derrick White that the Celtics need. And 11 points, 8 assists, plug him in, do a little bit of everything. That's great. Jaylen Brown had an off night, but he did wake up. I will say he did wake up in time to have a 7-point on 3 of 6 shooting third quarter. That last 5 minutes or so of the third quarter, that little run gave the Celtics enough momentum to carry into the fourth. So Jaylen had an off night, whether it was his ankle, whatever it was, something was off about him. 6 of 16 overall, 1 of 8 on threes. He did get 5 assists, so it's not like he did nothing, but he just had an off night. But that little 3 of 6, that little 7-point spurt there was important. he was kind of like sleepwalking. He had some really horrible turnovers. But then all of a sudden he woke up. He had one drive to the basket. I was like, oh my God, he's going 3 times as fast as he's been running all night. So he found a little burst, found a way to contribute, didn't have a great overall game. And then look, Robert Williams was in foul trouble all night. Al Horford had to step up big. He played 34 minutes. Rob, when he was in there in less than 20 minutes, 5 of 7, a bunch of dunks. I think they weren't all dunks, but they were all at the rim. Managed 7 offensive rebounds, 11 rebounds overall for a double-double, couple of blocks, but it was in foul trouble for like the whole night. And I think Robert Williams being in foul trouble kind of helped the Hornets because they had over 50 points in the paint as well. If Rob has a normal game and isn't fouling, I don't think Charlotte makes it as close a game as they did. So, but Al Horford stepped up and 10 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Overall, just a great game. A great settling down of the team with the score 64-61. Horford comes up and drills a straightaway 3-pointer to tie the game. That was a bit of a danger zone for the Celtics. But he just stepped up. He's 2 of 4 from 3. He's been shooting great during this streak. He's been up around 50%. You can count on him. His shooting going away was part of the problem during December. Now he's feeling better, and he's out there. He's doing a little bit of everything. That 3-pointer was a huge 3-pointer for him. Look, he's just dependable. He's just a dependable player. And these types of performances, all of these little performances, smart, great basketball, not big numbers. Derrick White, great basketball, not big numbers. Horford, same thing. Robert Williams, same thing. Although Robert has more highlights. Jaylen Brown, not a great night at all. It's not something that he's going to look back at and be like, I'm proud of this game. But a contribution, nonetheless, did something to contribute to winning for sure. Those types of things lead to a level of confidence that, I don't know, for some reason after this game, the confidence that these guys showed struck me. And that's what I'm going to talk about after the break. First, let's talk about rockauto.com. There's no way that those strip malls are going to be able to carry every piece that every car, every make and model that's out on the road, everything that they need. There's no way that that's going to be in that little tiny, auto parts place in whatever little strip mall you go to. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. Don't bother with that. Go to rockauto.com. You just sit at your computer, put all the information you would give to this other person that's going to type it in. Just do it to yourself. Do it with your on your own computer and cruise through a very expansive catalog that has parts in a bunch of different price points that you can fit your budget, that gives you what you need, no matter how complicated. If you're one of the people that knows what goes into an engine, or if you're like me, someone that just can do the simple stuff and floor mats and wipers and stuff like that, why spend 30 to 50 to 100% more for the same things at a chain store or a dealership? Go to rockauto.com. When you go to Rock Auto and you buy something, which I feel like you will, make sure you write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box. That's how they know we sent you, right? Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box. It's an amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. How about making the Locked On NBA podcast your second listen? I'm one of the Locked On NBA hosts. I host on Wednesdays with Jake Madison of Locked On Pelicans. We cover the night in the association, more in depth, the big storylines, the impact on the whole league, going a little bit deeper. So check out Locked On NBA. It's great. Every day, rotating host Monday through Friday. The Celtics, and this was the crux of my piece on Boston Sports Journal at the end of the game, because I do a game report and I do a piece that's a little deeper. It's either a column or analysis or whatever. And in this one, the confidence in this team is what struck me after this game, because this was a game where you say, they didn't play great. They didn't. They needed 44 points from Jayson Tatum in the fourth quarter to pull away. You can put all the little qualifiers on this game and say, this is a team that's supposed to be now in this contender status. Why can't they go out and beat Charlotte like they beat some of these other teams? And the simple answer is because that's not how basketball works. The basketball doesn't work that way. You have to account for what the other team is going to do and how the officiating is going to be and how certain guys feel. And Jaylen Brown didn't have it in this game. And so if you have a normal Jaylen Brown game, then this game goes a little bit differently. And maybe it does become a blowout. You don't know who's going to come in and have a bad game. No one wants to have a bad game. I had bad games when I was playing and I hated it. At the end of the night, you leave and you're like, wow, I sucked in that game. No one is harder on themselves after they play poorly than the guy who played poorly. So a lot of things can go wrong in these games. And earlier in the season, I felt like they were, first of all, losing games like this, or even if they were pulling them out, it was by the skin of their teeth. And the tone after the games was always a little on the negative side. The tone was always like, okay, yeah, but yeah, you won, but, and it seemed to be a lot of progression of the same old stuff. In this game, come out of it, and Ime Udoka is talking about good composure. And, look, we didn't play our best, but we played well enough here. We did this part there. And I thought we did what we had to do. They still held them to 101, which on a night where you're not playing great, you still hold the opponent to 101 points. It's pretty good. They scored 115 points. Their offensive rating in this game was 123. So that's better than the Utah Jazz lead the NBA in offensive rating at like 115. So you end up with an offensive rating that's as good as the best offense in the league in this particular game. So the Celtics come out of this and they go, you know what? It's okay. Not so bad. Now it helps that you got Tatum, and Tatum's on a heater right now. You know that you got Jaylen just sitting there, and if it's his ankle, then it's his ankle, and he'll work through that. But maybe he'll feel better on Friday. Maybe he'll feel better on Sunday. Jaylen can go off for 50 on any given night himself. Like, he can go off for 40 on any given night. So you don't know when that, that if you keep playing the right way, that potential is there. And, when you walk down the street and you know that you've got like two, ass kickers on either side, you're going to be walking with a lot of confidence down the street, because you don't know when's going to mess with you because you got these guys on either side of you. But it's not just that. They have figured out that, hey, if we play this way, even if it's not quite working, even if the passes aren't quite getting through or the shots aren't falling, just keep doing it. Just stick with it. They now have this confidence that they didn't have before. What they used to do is lose faith. They used to lose confidence in each other. And Jaylen would go off, or Jayson would go off on the ISO stuff. And I would write for sure about Jason's ISO game and going too much into it. But now that he's got the confidence, first of all, in himself, and second of all, in his teammates, and third, and maybe most importantly, in Ime Udoka in the system, now that they've got all of that confidence and he's got that confidence, he can make the right play, and everyone can make the right play. Again, I go to we can go to the 3-pointer that Jaylen hit against Brooklyn, where the ball moved and they trusted each other. We can go to that Grant Williams 3, where it was there was an offensive rebound, but there was a fake, a drive, a kick, a miss, an offensive rebound, pass, swing, fake, drive, kick again. And like by the end, it's like, oh my God, this is just, they just keep on, they keep on working. This 3 is not open enough. If they took that shot, it'd be okay, a good shot. But they kept driving, kept working, and they got the great shot. Good to great. That's the thing that they've been working on. The ball movement. Tatum, in the midst of his heater, gives the ball up. And it's like, yeah, go ahead. I'll get the ball back. Don't worry about it. You go and I trust you. I trust you. And when Tatum gives up the ball and Jaylen gives up the ball and Smart gives up the ball and Grant Williams gets it from one of these guys, it's like, well, they're not giving it to me to not do nothing. They're giving it to me to shoot because I'm out there. I'm wide open. I'm going to shoot this. It gives him the confidence to go and take that shot. They have developed this. Credit to everybody who's put in the work. Credit to Ime Udoka, who has stuck with this and pounded the message into these guys' heads. Credit to these guys for listening and working on it. And now they're at a point where I come out of this game, which this exact same game in November, in the midst of everything, or December in the midst of everything, I'd be like, yeah, that's nice, but they needed Tatum to bail them out. Like the tone, the reaction is going to be different. But now you look at this and you say, geez, these guys are playing great. And in this game, they weren't playing great for most of this game. In fact, you'd say mostly the offense was not particularly, attractive, but they still managed 30 assists. They still managed to move the ball pretty well. They still work their way through it, and they have this confidence that we'll figure it out. And that's just not something that they had in the beginning of the season. The confidence comes from the work. The confidence comes from knowing that you've done it so often that eventually it's going to click. And then once it clicks, you're like, oh yeah. And that applies to anything you've ever done, any job you've tried to learn, any skill that you have that you didn't have before. Are you somebody who plays an instrument? That when you first picked up the instrument, did you feel like you can, rattle off a solo? Are you a drummer? Do you feel like you go out there and play like a big solo? Are you a guitarist? Now you probably can if you've been at it for a while, but at the beginning you're like, well, fingering and like, oh God, do I do this and that? It's the same idea. Are you a cook? I like to cook. The first time you handle a piece of like chicken and vegetables and you're like, what do I do? What's the temperature? How do I, oh my God, am I burning it? Now it's just like, bop, 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 bop. It looks like an episode of Chopped, like flipping that stuff around. Confidence by doing the work and figuring it out and making your mistakes. Whatever skill you have developed, same thing. Takes time. Now these guys feel good. Doesn't matter that you're down 4. Horford just steps on up. Says, you know what? I'm going to take this 3. I'm going to fake this pass and take this shot and drill the damn thing. And Smart's like, you know what? I don't have to keep shooting these shots. I'm going to drive. And I know that against this team, especially this team, I can drive and get wherever I want. And then let's see where it goes from there. The confidence is there, which is not something I didn't know if I expected it to be this much, at this level. So that was, for a game overall where I sit there and I come out of it and I wrote this in my game report. I'm like, at the end, this game is pretty beige. This game is like, there's nothing super exciting to me. You come out of it, like Tatum had the big game in it was exciting fourth quarter, but generally speaking, I'm like, okay, yeah, you go through this history and like 14-point win over Charlotte. That's what you're supposed to do. Move on. But the level of what I see in this team, it's going to serve them well. Again, I don't know where they're going to finish this season, but it's something that they're going to be able to carry. This is the continuity now. Ime is going to stick around. Smart and Tatum and Brown and the core of this group is probably going to stick around, and you can build on what they're doing out there. It's fun. It's fun. Even a beige game like this ends up being fun, and there's some good takeaways there. I'll be back tomorrow with Tom Westerholm. We'll talk more about this, and then the Celtics go into a great weekend, which I will talk about on Monday. Friday night against Detroit, and then Sunday. Basically, Sunday is going to be the KG retirement ceremony. That's going to be a fun one. I've never been in the house for a retirement ceremony, so number retirement. So I'm looking forward to being there for that. It'll all be there on the Monday podcast. This show is free, available for you Monday through Friday. So if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. If you are subscribed or you watch the show on YouTube, I'd like to thank you for that. And I would love if you shared the podcast, tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody. They should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network.